O.J. Simpson was an American football player and actor. Night fell in Los Angeles on the 12th of June, 1994, when Nicole Brown Simpson, the player's ex-wife, and her friend Ronald Goldman were found brutally murdered in front of the duplex where Nicole lived. O.J. Simpson soon became the prime suspect. 5 days after the crime, a search warrant was issued and culminated in a televised manhunt that paralyzed the country. Simpson was traveling in a white Ford Bronco, while police followed him with about 20 cars and several helicopters. Finally, Simpson surrendered at his Brentwood home, where he was arrested without resistance. The trial began in 1995, and the prosecution presented compelling evidence, such as blood on the Bronco and on some socks. But after more than 8 months of trial, he was found not guilty of murder. However, 2 years later, in civil court, he was found responsible for both deaths. Mark Wahlberg is an American actor known for his roles in Ted and The Departed. However, before achieving fame, he was in trouble with the law. In Dorchester, Boston, in April 1988, a 16-year-old Mark Wahlberg, under the influence of drugs, committed 2 violent assaults. First, he attacked Than Lam, a middle-aged Vietnamese man, hitting him over the head with a wooden stick and knocking him unconscious on the sidewalk while shouting racial slurs at him. Later that day, Wahlberg assaulted another Vietnamese man, Johnny Trinh, by punching him hard in the eye, again accompanied by racial slurs. He was charged with attempted murder, but pleaded guilty to assault. Although he was sentenced to 2 years in prison, he served only 45 days. Nacho Vidal is a Spanish actor and producer known for his career in adult film. In Anguera, Valencia, on the 28th of July, 2019, Vidal organized a ritual with venom from the toad Bufo alvarius, a hallucinogenic substance used to provoke experiences of spiritual rebirth and emotional release. At his home, he set the mood with pillows, bells, and a Tibetan bowl. With a glass pipette, he helped photographer Jose Luis Abad inhale the vapor of the poison. Previously, Abad had consumed substances incompatible with the Bufo toad, so that, seconds after ingesting the poison, he began to convulse until he finally died. After this, Nacho Vidal was charged with reckless homicide and a crime against public health, although the process was archived in 2023. However, it was reopened again in 2024. Lillo Brancato is an American actor of Italian origin, known for his roles in A Bronx Tale and The Sopranos. In December of 2005, in a neighborhood in the Bronx, New York, Lillo Brancato, along with his friend Steven Armento, decided to break into an empty apartment to steal drugs in a desperate attempt to get money. While searching the place, Daniel Inchaudagi, an off-duty police officer, heard suspicious noises and entered the apartment. When he confronted the 2 men, Armento pulled out a gun and fired, fatally wounding the officer. Lillo was arrested as an accomplice. In 2009, he was sentenced to 10 years in prison, of which he served 8. Oscar Pistorius is a former South African Paralympic athlete, renowned for competing with carbon prostheses and breaking records at the 2012 Olympics. It was a quiet night in Pretoria on the 14th of February. Oscar Pistorius returned home accompanied by his girlfriend, Riva Steenkamp. Later, in the dark of night, a closed door separated their fates. Pistorius fired 4 shots through that door, believing an intruder was hiding inside, but it was Riva who was behind it. The shots came through the door and fatally struck Riva. Heart racing and filled with confusion, Pistorius descended the stairs with her in his arms, desperately seeking help from his neighbors. Despite this, the trial revealed hidden tensions between the two and he was found guilty of murder, and his sentence was extended to more than 13 years in prison. After being jailed for almost 9 years, he was released on parole in 2024. Alec Baldwin is an American actor and producer known for his extensive career in film and television. On October 21, 2021, in New Mexico, during the filming of the movie Rust, Alec was given a gun that he claimed was harmless to rehearse a scene while pointing it at the camera. As he began to handle it, the gun went off. The bullet pierced cinematographer Helena Hutchins and then wounded director Joel Souza. Unfortunately, Helena died shortly thereafter. The investigation revealed serious flaws in material control. The gun contained a real bullet, and security on the set was poor. The gunsmith, Hannah Gutierrez Reed, was sentenced to prison. Baldwin was charged with involuntary manslaughter, although he always denied pulling the trigger. Finally, in 2024, the case was dismissed. Daniel Sancho is a Spanish chef and son of actor Rodolfo Sancho. On a trip to the Thai island of Koh Phangan in August 2023, Daniel Sancho met Edwin Arrieta, a Colombian surgeon with whom he had a complex relationship. According to Sancho, Arrieta was harassing him and had him trapped like in a glass cage, even though they had planned the trip together. On August 2nd, they were both at his hotel. According to the investigation, after an argument, Sancho ended Arrieta's life by beating him in the bathroom and then dismembered his body in the shower using knives, a saw, and storing it in bags he had already prepared. To dispose of the remains, he scattered them in various places of the island. Some ended up in garbage cans, and others were thrown to the bottom of the sea after renting a canoe. 2 days later, he reported the disappearance and eventually confessed to the crime. In 2024, he was charged with premeditated murder, dismemberment, and destruction of other people's documents, and sentenced to life imprisonment in Thailand. Snoop Dogg is an American rapper and actor, a hip-hop icon since the 1990s. In Los Angeles, on August 25, 1993, Philip Woldemariam and some friends were on their way to buy some burritos when they passed an SUV with Snoop Dogg and McKinley Lee, his bodyguard, belonging to a rival gang. They exchanged a series of insults, but Woldemariam's group eventually fled the scene. Sometime later, when they were in a park snacking on their burritos, the SUV showed up again and Woldemariam was killed. The jury had two versions of what happened. On the one hand, Woldemariam's companions claimed that he was unarmed, and that following Snoop Dogg's orders, McKinley shot him in cold blood. However, the other version said that Woldemariam had a gun and was about to shoot the singer. It was then that his bodyguard, in self-defense, shot him several times. After more than 3 years of trial, in 1996, it was discovered that Woldemariam did have a gun in his pants, and the jury acquitted Snoop Dogg and his bodyguard. As a curiosity, Snoop Dogg had the same defense as O.J. Simpson, Robert Kardashian, the Kardashians' father.